Hey guys, Jack here today bringing you an interview with Craig Mcleod, who's a producer at DICE in Stockholm. He's been working on the China Rising DLC, and this interview was recorded about 3 weeks ago after I had the chance to play the DLC for the first time on Xbox One. Some great insight here into the design choices, the bomber, Easter eggs and Levolution in the new maps. Enjoy. The China Rising maps, are they primarily designed by the Stockholm studio or the LA studio?
So China Rising is completely designed by the Stockholm studio, whereas Second Assault is done by the LA studio. And when we think about the China Rising maps, we've done something different to what we did in the Battlefield 3 Premium. So when you look at Battlefield 3 Premium, we generally group the same type of maps together. So we had Close Quarters, which was all tight infantry gameplay. We had Armored Kill, which was all much bigger, sprawling maps. So we kind of kept the same sort of experience. We got a lot of community feedback which said, I love what you did potentially with Close Quarters. I love what you did, but it's not for me. I'm a vehicle player. I wish that there was something in that map pack for me. So when we look at China Rising, we actually took that feedback to heart, and we wanted to actually put that into our pack. So Silk Road and Altai Range, two of our maps, are designed primarily for vehicles, large open spaces for tanks, for jets, and for helicopters. Whereas Guilin Peaks is designed for infantry. So you have the narrower passageways and lines of sight, where you have a lot of foliage which acts as cover without impeding movement. The cave system, which is more corridor gameplay. And then of course we have the final one, which is Dragon Pass, which is a reimagining of Dragon Valley from BF2, which then incorporates further the water gameplay on top of that.
Okay, cool. Now on the map with the caverns, the caves,
yep.
What was the name of it?
Guilin Peaks.
Guilin Peaks.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what the Levolution on that level was. What have you got going on there?
So what we've done with China Rising is we've actually been more subtle on the Levolution. Levolution as a concept consists of many different types. So you have the very large set pieces, so the collapsing skyscraper, or where the boat crashes into Parasol Storm, and then you have smaller Levolution pieces such as like the bollards, which will cut them down, which we had on Altai Range, and then we have environmental Levolution, which is what we're looking to put into China Rising. Okay. So on Guilin Peaks in particular, as the match progresses over time, the fog will roll in off of the hills and into the gameplay space. In a similar way, on Dragon Pass, it'll start raining. On Altai Range it will start snowing, and then the sandstorm will kick up on Silk Road. But we kept it to what we felt fit the map and fit what we were trying to bring to the level. Because we didn't have urban environments that we could put in we looked at Altai Range with the weather station, and we thought maybe we could collapse that. Is that something that we want to do? And we then looked at it and realized that actually it would kill the gameplay space and the flow of that central key area. So we decided against it. So, it's not necessarily a case of putting a big epic set piece in every single map. It's where it fits and where it works.
So on that level with the weather station, you can call in the bomber.
Yes.
I had a go, called it in, and from what I could tell, you get like two weapons.
Yep.
The JDAM and the cruise missile, but I think you get 4 JDAMs.
You do,
right?
Yes.
So obviously it's supposed to be a powerful thing that you call in. I'm presuming that you have to have that C point to be able to call that in.
Yes.
Similar to like the Commander AC-130,
Yep.
there is a point on the map. Did you ever consider, instead of having it being just a bomber that flies overhead, obviously in BF 1942 we had I think it was B-12 bombers. Did you consider for BF4 like letting people fly around in it, or?
So the bomber is available on all maps,
okay.
and it's tied into the central point of the map. So when you hold that capture point, then you have access to the command center, the command trailer, and then you can pull in the bomber and work with it. We did look at the ability to fly it around and how it would work. It didn't make sense, unfortunately. So being able to actually move the bomber around on the map, it's quite big. It's not designed to be maneuverable in the same way as a jet, so it would look and feel wrong. We toyed with the idea of maybe we could have it circle in the same way that we did with the gunship, but again, that didn't feel right. And with the gunship, this has much more powerful capability to it. So we didn't want it to just be a constant thing that people could have access and constantly use. So what worked out best was to choose a path through the level in the same way as we used the dropship in Endgame. So we'd go from one end to the other. We pick the most sensible and which covered the most ground, and then give the artillery and firepower for you to help and wreak destruction on the players below. So we did look at it, but it didn't fit right. So we picked what worked best for and got the best feedback within our studio.
So can it be shot down before it finishes flying across the map? It can.
It can be shot down. At which point you don't die. You just get moved out of the command trailer. So if it's got shot down and you haven't used all your weaponry, then that's unfortunate. So it's you have to hold out. But so if you're very good and you're very coordinated with your aerial attacks, then you can take it down beforehand.
I noticed as well, it's got quite a long reload time on the guns. From the start of it to the finish, can you get a reload in, or do you just get one?
You get one go at it.
Okay.
Yeah, you get one go at it, so you need to pick the right place and the right moment for it.
So it's pretty much 4 JDAMs and a cruise missile, and you're done. Okay, cool. When I was playing some of the China Rising maps, I was getting a Bad Company 2 Vietnam vibe, especially from the one where the river runs all the way through, I think.
Yes, so that is Dragon Pass, which has the forking river, which almost creates an island effect. Yeah, so it does create an island effect.
Did you hark back to the Bad Company 2 Vietnam maps whilst you were designing China Rising, or?
It's not. I've heard that already today about, did we look at Vietnam when we were doing that? The answer is no. We like what Vietnam did. I, as well as a number of people on the team, worked on Bad Company 2 Vietnam. So we love that area, that era, and what that brings to our games. But it wasn't actually one of our influences. We like foliage. We haven't had that kind of an environment in a Battlefield map for a long time. And we want to bring that kind of variety into Battlefield 4. And I know that myself, and the level designer in particular, does enjoy these kind of environments. And it's fantastic for creating cover and breaking line of sight without impeding movement and the mobility that you have, as well as you can shoot through it, so it's not hard or destructible cover. It just creates a completely different dynamic, which we really like.
I forgot the name again. The one with the caves. You have to.
Guilin Peaks.
Guilin Peaks. Yeah. It's a bit of a funny name to remember straight away. I'll remember eventually. A lot of people thought in there it was giving off a bit of a Jurassic Park vibe. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's this whole thing with dinosaurs. So I went flying around the level earlier, seeing if I could find any little Easter eggs or whatever. Have you included some Easter eggs throughout the China Rising levels? Not specifically dinosaur related, but.
So no, we don't have any dinosaur-related Easter eggs. There may be some Easter eggs in it. I don't want to give anything away.
I found a little Buddha in a plane. There's one of the levels where the plane's split in half. There's a little Buddha samurai thing. He's
Yep.
Any relevance to that? What?
There may be some relevance to that, but but that's something that the community should look into themselves.
Okay. Any new weapons come in for China Rising you want to talk about?
Yep. So we have 5 new weapons that come in, one for each class. So we have the very well loved L85 A2 assault rifle for the assault class. We have the MP7 for the engineer class. We have the RPK 74 for our support class, that LMG, and we have the L96 sniper for our recon class. And then we have probably my favorite weapon, which is the MTAR. Yeah. MTAR 21, which is a carbine available for all classes. Okay,
that's the very fast-firing.
Yes,
looks pretty cool.
I love it. it plays. It's my favorite and my best weapon. That and the AUG A3.
Yeah, and the gadgets, the UCAV and the SUAV.
Yep.
The UCAV, obviously, it's got a very long reload time. Mm-hmm. You can't spam that thing because it does seem very powerful. Those are China Rising gadgets, aren't they? They're not second assault.
No, they are. They come in the China Rising pack. Those 2 ones.
And you can unlock those at the moment in the core game. Was that an accident or?
That was an accident. Okay. Yes. Unfortunately, the way that we deliver content is we actually deliver in a number of packages So we will have like a DLC package and an MP, like multiplayer update package and patches. So what we've been doing is we've been working hard with sending out patches after our main game release, and unfortunately, one of those packs has become available earlier than it should. So the people who already have premium or who have pre-ordered have gained early access to this, whereby it doesn't appear in Battlelog or anything like that, but it is accessible.
Yeah.
But that was an unfortunate mistake on our part.
Okay. And have you thought about revoking them until the DLC is out, or are you just going to let that slide?
I'd be lying if I said that we hadn't discussed about what we should do with it. But to be honest, we felt it was, if we were to revoke it, then we would probably, and I don't technically know if this is true, but we would probably end up having to pull out the fixes that we made with the patch that went out at the same time.
Okay.
And we think it's more important that our players get those fixes, and we just let those weapons and gadgets continue to be there, than to remove that and take away those fixes. For us, it's really about gameplay first for our community. So, we made a mistake. We will live with that.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, are there any core gameplay changes coming out with the China Rising? I imagine there'll be a patch as well, just before it releases, based on maybe community feedback or just stuff that you're experimenting with. Can you think of anything that's changing?
We're not doing any core gameplay changes with this pack. It's more of a content update.
Okay.
So when we think about the maps and the weapons and the gadgets and the vehicles, the mode, the assignments, achievements or trophies if that's what you do, and also the additional commander feature. So it's all about content update. When it comes to tweaking and balancing our game, then we will look to do that with the patches that come out alongside it as well.
I think we should start wrapping up here. So, China Rising, could you describe it in 3 words?
In 3 words? Wow, okay, that's actually a good question. That's one that I haven't had before. I would describe China Rising as the classic Battlefield experience. It's all about the landscapes, the environments, the all-out vehicle warfare, as well as, tightening it up for some infantry play. So I would consider it a classic Battlefield experience.
Okay, that's a pretty good answer.
Thank you.
It's great. Well, thank you very much, Craig.
Thanks.
Cheers.
That's great.
So there we go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one, and a big thanks to Craig who let me interview him on the spot. Absolutely nothing was planned here. It was very impromptu, but I think he did a pretty good job with the answers there. How are you guys finding China Rising so far? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are there too many vehicles? Leave a rating and a comment. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.